So Hare Krishna, thanks everyone for joining. So today we will talk a little bit about Purushottama month's glories, and I have only a slide in Tamil, but anyway you can just look at the picture as I said and just try not to read the Tamil language, okay? Okay, we'll start now. So Purushottama month, what they say is in Naimisharanya. The Naimisharanya is a place where it is in India, and it is said that it is a central hub of the entire universe. Lord Brahma has put some hub, like a wheel, to connect all the planets in the universe. So it's like how you have a hub where you can connect all the USB, like that. It connects all the parts of the universe. So the place, it's very auspicious when we perform yajnas. That's why the sages of Naimisharanya chose the place of Naimisharanya to do yajna, to do the sacrifice for the well-being of Kali Yuga people, because they know Kali Yuga people will have short life, low memory, and they're always disturbed, lazy and unlucky. Whatever the bad things are, the bad qualities are, that belongs to Kali Yuga people. That is why they were very compassionate and wanted to perform yajna. This is how it starts. Srimad Bhagavatam, this is how it starts. And Suta Goswami is a great sage, and he was present when King Parikshit was hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Sukadev Goswami. Sukadev Goswami is none other than the parrot from the spiritual world. It is said that he is the parrot of Radharani. In some other reference, it says that he is the parrot of Krishna. I already mentioned that. So Sarika is the parrot of Radharani and Shuka is the parrot of Krishna. But some people say other way around. Regardless, we understand Shuka is coming from the spiritual planet, and when he was the parrot in spiritual world, he was very closely associating with Radha and Krishna, so they know the pastimes and everything. So hearing from someone like that is more auspicious than anything one could ever imagine. So that is why Parikshit Maharaj was so happy when Sukadev Goswami spoke. At that meeting, at that assembly, Suta Goswami was also present, because he heard it as it is. How Bhagavad Gita, we got it as it is from Srila Prabhupada without any adulteration, like that. He got it as it is, Suta Goswami from Sukadev Goswami. So in 7 days they completed the entire Bhagavatam, and now he is going to give the same knowledge to the sages of Naimisharanya, because he was invited to present the Bhagavatam that he had heard. So in that they asked questions, and Suta Goswami would answer, not directly, but he would say the references back and back from the different places, and then come back to the answer. So it's not that he will invent or manufacture his answers, it's all referring back to the Shastras, Sukadev Goswami, etc. So one of the questions they asked, somehow they happened to ask about Purushottama month. So then they are discussing about what are the glories, and it is said that when you perform bhakti in this month, what happens is whatever the desire one may have, it will get fulfilled like a desire fulfilling tree. So one thing we need to understand is, for devotees, we do not work for the benedictions. 2 days ago I was telling Vallabha that Vallabha, if this is Purushottama month coming, and if we perform bhakti nicely, we get whatever we do in bhakti, whether if you chant 1 round or 2 round extra, or doing extra Tulasi Parikram, whatever you do, it multiplies by 1000 times. So each activity will be multiplied by 1000 times, even more. And so that if you do 2 activities, means 2000 times. So I was trying to tell him, to inspire him, so that he can do more of whatever he can to his capacity. And he was saying, Mummy, I thought this bhakti is to please Krishna and not to get any benediction. I am not doing bhakti to get 1000 times benediction or 2000 times. I'm just pleasing Krishna. I'm just trying to please Krishna. So I was like, yes, well, he understood the point, you know. For me, I was really embarrassed to tell him that and getting such an answer. So I was at least happy that he got the philosophy right. So why I'm saying that, because devotees, we are all you know, doing whatever activities to our capacity, within our capacity, only to please Krishna and his devotees. Nothing in return we are expecting, right? So one time, what happened? This story. There was a Medhavi, I think, the sage. He was a renunciate, and he was living with his wife and a daughter, young daughter. And then wife passed away. The mother of the girl passed away. Only father and the girl. But the father was so much involved in sacrifice, the yagya, austerity, and everything. He least bothered about his own daughter. And she was growing up by herself, and she was really worried that father is not looking after her. But anyway, she understood that father is engaged himself in austerity. That's okay. But still, she was sad. At that time, what she did was, she grew up and she came to the marriageable age. So every one of her, of her friends circle, they were getting married one after another. But they were asking her, like, when are you going to get married? Married means, oh, Vedic days, but these days anyone can go and marry anyone else. And even the parents sometimes don't worry about that. That's okay, they say. Not all the parents, but some of them. And they are very, sometimes they are broad minded, they accept whatever the girl wanted to marry. But sometimes they, reject. But that is the story of this modern age. But Vedic days, the girls will not get married until the father or mother arranges the wedding. Even 50, 100 years ago, that was the case. So she was thinking, who will arrange wedding for me, since my father is not interested at all. The father also dies eventually. Now she is on her own. So she decided to do some tapasya. So she was severely doing tapasya, and that time Lord Shiva came. When Lord Shiva came, she was really surprised. She didn't expect. Sometimes if you receive someone unexpectedly who you admire to or inspired by, or great personality in your life, they just appear all of a sudden, you will be awestruck. You will not be able to react properly. So she was very much surprised, but at the same time happy. And then Lord Shiva asked, what do you want? Because she wanted to get married, she wanted a husband. So she said, I want husband, I want husband, I want husband. She said 5 times. So therefore, before this happened, what happens is, Durvasa Muni comes, before Lord Shiva, Durvasa Muni comes. And then Durvasa Muni tells this girl that she was very much crying before she wanted to do tapasya. She was really sad and she was crying. That time Durvasa Muni came and asked the girl, why are you crying? But he understood. She received him properly. Durvasa Muni, she received him. But because she was very sad, Durvasa Muni could understand something's not good. So he asked her. And then she says that, yes, I am very sad because I want to get married, since my father also not anymore. Who will get me married? Then Durvasa Muni said, okay, there is Purushottama month coming, which is very auspicious. And if you perform anything, you will be beneficial. And if you put all the other 12 months together, the benefit that you derive from it will not even be equal to 1 by 16th time of the benefit you will derive from Purushottama month. Therefore, you perform some austerity, whatever you could do in Purushottama month, do it. Like, for example, take bath in the holy rivers, and do some charity, and do some Krishna Bhakti, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So if you do these type of activities, then whatever desire you have, it will become fulfilled. So don't worry. But she was saying, then Durvasa Muni left, and she was saying to herself that, I don't know whether Durvasa Muni left or not. She actually said this what Durvasa Muni said about Purushottam month is actually Mala month. Mala mas means, which is, Mala means stool, that untouchable thing. And that is what Karmakanda people would call. Karmakandis means one who perform karmic activity to reap some fruity results. So they wanted to do yagya to get some results. So they do Ganapati Homam, Graha Pravesh, or some Hanuman Chalisa. Whatever they do, their attitude, their consciousness or intention is to get some material benefits only, not to get bhakti. So their only focus is Ekanta Paranashraya. That means taking exclusive shelter of Bhagavan Krishna, that is devotees. But what they do, Ekanta Baudiga Ashya, I'm just making it up, that word, that they just focus exclusively on only material benefits. So she was not really interested to perform anything in the Malamas, because it is said that very inauspicious. If you do anything, you will only get failure. So she wanted to get a husband, and if she does something, she will never get married. That was her understanding. See, one thing is, if you have faith and do the activity, that is one thing. If you don't have faith and therefore you don't do activity, that is another thing. But if you don't have faith and you blaspheme that particular faith that others have, that is when you get aparadh. That is when you get the offense. That's when you are committing the offense. Okay, especially when Purushottama is none other than Lord Sri Jagannath himself, or Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna himself. Then if you are blaspheming the Lord, which is not good. And one thing we need to understand, Krishna will accept the blasphemy on his own. Then, someone blasphemes his devotee, he will not be able to tolerate it. That's when he actually punishes. 1 second. Excuse me. So she wasn't interested, so she committed an offense by blaspheming that month, saying it's Mala month, therefore I'm not going to do anything like that. That time Lord Shiva, that's when after that she performs austerity very nicely, the tapasya. Then Lord Shiva comes and asks, and she says that 5 times, I want husband. And then Lord Shiva says, Tatastu, you'll get 5 husbands. Then she realized, no, I only wanted 1 husband. Why are you giving me 5? And Shiva said, because you asked 5 times. I said, no, I only want 1 husband. Then he said, I can't take the blessings back. Maybe one thing I can do is, I can defer the benediction I gave you to the next life. So this lifetime you don't have 5 husbands, you will not have 5 husbands, but in next life you will have 5 husbands. See, this is again because of the reaction from what she committed earlier. In Vedic days, having 5 husbands is not moral, correct? So because of how she blasphemed Purushottam, therefore she had to suffer. But nevertheless, she was the one who became a Draupadi in the next life. From the yagya, Draupadi, when he did the yagya, she came with Dhristadyumna. Okay, so that's why she had 5 husbands. This story will be narrated by Krishna. I'll show you the slide later, but I gave the story, beforehand itself. So when Durvasa Muni suggested for all of us to take bath in the holy rivers during this month, it's not possible for everyone. Okay, we are in Melbourne, and a lot of people, even in India itself, they are not living very close to the holy rivers of Holy Dham. And what can one do is, when you take your bath every day, regularly, and you can just say Ganga, Ganga, Ganga 3 times, then automatically it purifies your bath, and therefore your bath gets sanctified, and that is equal to you have taken bath in the holy dham itself. There is another mantra also. Gangashya Yamunashya Godavari Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri Jalamashmin Sannidham Guru. That one, to bring all the holy dham into one place, and then you can take sprinkle 3 times, and then it is considered as all holy dham, holy rivers that you have taken bath. It is equal to that. But anyway, you don't have to recite that mantra which is too long. Just simply say Ganga, Ganga, Ganga. Okay. And then, so this is the story I was telling you. So Naimisharanya sages, asking Sudha Goswami, and Sudha Goswami is going back to the story narrated by this Narada Muni, I believe. And then Narada Muni goes back to the story narrated by Naranarayana Rishi, I believe. So it's just going back. So what is the story anyway? The story is there was one additional month came about to adjust or balance the solar and lunar calendar. Okay. So when the additional month before we go to that, we need to understand anything that happens is all because of the will of the providence. Okay. Of course, there are karmic reactions because of our own desire and the karma we perform, we get the reaction. That is another thing. But again, end of the day, unless the will of the Lord is not there, then nothing will happen. So as we discussed before, not even a blade of grass will move if there is no will of the Lord. So here, by the will of the providence, there was one additional month added to the calendar. That month was called Adik month or Malamas. As I mentioned before, karma kandis who desire for fruitive results or material benefits for the activity they perform, the material activity they perform, so they wanted material benedictions. Okay, sometimes they please Devi Devadas, 33 crores of Devi Devadas, they please them and ask for some material benefits. The difference between the benediction you get from the Devi Devadas and Krishna is that the benediction you receive from the Devi Devadas is temporary. When you die, it will automatically die with you. Okay. Unless there is any shaba, any curse or any special benediction that you have to suffer or enjoy in the next life, that will happen. But in terms of whatever they give you money, then it will not continue in the next life, correct? So it will perish because it is perishable. Whatever material forms we see and have, they are perishable. But when you receive any benediction from Lord Shri Krishna, who is Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is permanent. And again, we need to understand, he doesn't sanction everything we ask for. He will see what is fit for us, what is fit for our position, our situation, and then only he will give us that benediction. And we should understand that whatever he does or doesn't do, that is still mercy of the Lord. Okay, if for example, sometimes he gives a job to someone, that means definitely it's going to be favorable for his bhakti. That's how we should pray to Krishna also. We should pray to Krishna that Krishna, whatever you desire, please, do that for me. Whether, taking things away from me or giving things to me, it's all up to you. But whatever it is, please make it favorable for the bhakti that we can perform. So that is how, it is recommended to pray. Therefore, even if you get a promotion but it is not favorable to perform bhakti, then what is the point? You may become popular, you can become a rich person, and you can achieve materially everything. But what is the use? Everything is perishable and it will die with you. Then why bother going through all those things and not asking for what is permanent, which is bhakti? Correct? So the service we do to Krishna and the love we have for Krishna are always permanent, and it will continue life after life. Even Bharata Maharaj story we discussed, I don't know if we discussed it, and Vallabha gave that Bhagavata Katha, and it is there that when he dies, he takes birth again, but his bhakti continues. He remembers even in the DS body. So that's the glory of having, that relationship with Krishna, that loving devotion. So this Malamas was very sad that people are not interested in her. She is in the female form, and she was very worried. So she went to, she was crying because everyone was insulting her, right? So she was crying and went to Lord Vishnu in the Vaikuntha Loka and cried so badly. It was said that she went to Badrika Ashram, which is in Himalayas. But anyway, we don't need to go into too much technical details. We need just the story and the lesson we can apply in our life. So she goes to Lord Vishnu, and then Lord Vishnu says that, okay, don't cry, I will take you to Krishna in the Golaka Vrindavan. So they are going to Golaka Vrindavan, and then what happens is she takes shelter of Shri Krishna, and she cries really immensely, and she was telling her sad story, she was narrating everything. And Krishna said, don't cry, this is eternal spiritual world, this is Golaka Vrindavana, and no one cries this. Everyone is in Satchidananda form. What is that? Sat Chit Ananda. Always they are in full knowledge, they are eternal, and they are fully blissful. So therefore don't cry. No one cries here. Don't cry. Since Vishnu already gave shelter to you, so I am also happy to give you shelter. So don't cry. What I can do, this Malamasa, whatever it is called, I will give you all the powers that I personally have, and it will become equally powerful as I am, and I will name this month as Purushottama month, and I also marry you. So that's what, in some places it is not mentioned that Krishna marries this month, but some places it says. But again, regardless, it is Purushottama month. So he himself named the month as his own name, Purushottama. And then he said, whatever, the qualities I have, the benedictions I give, everything will be as equal as that Purushottama month gives. Therefore, if whoever worships this month, whoever performs any additional bhakti activity in this month, they will get benedictions. Okay, the month will become happy, which is personification of Krishna only. It will become happy, and it will give you all the good qualities. And he gives some suggestions in Padma Purana. What one can do is worshipping the Lord, of course, and chanting his holy names, which is Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is prescribed for Kali Yuga. So if we are in different yuga, it's different matter, okay? Because we are in Kali Yuga, it is prescribed in Kali Sanatana Upanishad that chanting Hare Krishna is the best medicine for our material disease. Therefore, we should only try to chant that. If there are any extra mantras are given, they are not Maha Mantra, they are only mantras. But this is Maha Mantra. Even if you can't chant anything else, it doesn't really matter. But if you chant only Maha Mantra, instead of introducing new mantras to yourself, you rather stick to this Maha Mantra only, because it will give you whatever you need, more than what you need. Okay. So then what other activities you can do is hearing Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and reading those books, or and most importantly, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that you need to give Krishna to others. Whoever preaches about me is more dear to me than who calls themselves as devotees. Okay, who's more dear to him is there are two things. One is, who serves my devotee is my dear devotee. One place he says that, and another place is one who gives my knowledge, one who talks about me, I am present, and they are more dear to me. Okay, so these are the things that give us the indication that we should give Krishna to others also, because these are the facts that we are experiencing, realizing in our own life. Therefore, we should give it to others also, so they can also experience the bliss. And then ghee lamp, offering ghee lamp in the morning and night. So if you don't have ghee at home, you can still use sesame oil. But remember though, we can sometimes stretch ourselves. It's not that we are extremely in a situation where there is no access to any of these. We absolutely have access to all of this. We should endeavor. First we should have a desire, and then we should have an endeavor to do that. Okay, what are the benefits is when you perform this bhakti in Purushottama month? It is said See, we might have committed more sins, right? And we might have done a lot of offenses, doesn't matter. At the end of this very life, this very lifetime, we will, when we die, we go back to Krishna Loka, Golaka Vrindavan, and serve Radha and Krishna eternally. So this is like a sales deal, not every other month, even Kartik month, which is coming up next month, which is said to be most auspicious, but this is more than that most auspicious. It's better than this month. Purushottam month is better than Kartik month because it comes only every 3 years, and it is Krishna himself. Therefore, we should respect this month and without committing any offense, just try first to have a desire to do anything. If you want to serve Krishna, do any of these activities I just said, that they are suggestions from Krishna himself from Padma Purana. So try to implement those, try to accommodate those in your daily day-to-day life, and especially we are all in the lockdown stage, and we can at least implement some of those activities. Okay, so I'll stop here. Before we move on to chapter 15, I just ask any questions. Anyone has any questions?
Mataji, they say that during this month, if we read Chaurashtakam, it is very good, right? What is the significance?
So this is Krishna stealing butter activity is so dear to Krishna. When Krishna was in Dwaraka, Rohini, she was the mother Devaki, not Devaki, so Balaram's mother Rohini. She was in the Dwaraka palace. That time all the queens headed by Rohini, I believe, that Rohini is different from this Rohini. And she asked, on behalf of the entire queens, 16,108 queens, about the Vrindavan Vrajalila, because Krishna, sometimes when he was sleeping, he remembers the Vrajavasis, and he, during the sleep, he would do sleep talk, and he missed them so badly that he manifests those emotions. So queens know whatever we do to satisfy Krishna, that doesn't happen because he is more satisfied by the Vrajavasis. So we wanted to know what are the leelas that he performed. So why it's more glorious. We know it is more glorious, but we wanted to know, we wanted to hear. So that time Rohini Mata started to narrate the story, and they put Subhadra at the door as a doorkeeper to indicate if Krishna or Balaram come, then ask, just to give them a signal, so they stop, because they don't want to, because he will become more emotional, and he already is going through the pain of separation from all of them, so they don't want him to go through it again. And also many other reasons, so I'm just giving you one reason that I know. And so when they were talking, Subhadra was standing outside as a guard, and Krishna and Balaram went for some meeting, and they came back in the middle. So they are not supposed to come back earlier, but for some reason they came back in the middle. That time Subhadra, when she was listening to the whole pastime, and it's not finished yet, but it's still going on, her external senses stopped. So limbs all went into the body. See, biologically, if you ask how, I can't explain, because it's all spiritual matter. So we can only try to imagine and understand, and it is hard to understand. That's why Krishna is agochara. It's inconceivable. His energies, Deva Maya, his manifested energies are very inconceivable. So we just try to conceive it, which which is difficult. So her limbs goes in the hands and everything, and her eyes become very wide and big. Sometimes you get surprised, and someone saying a happy news or something's really exciting, your eyes pop up, and you just you show your excited emotion. That is what happened to Subhadra, but she is stunned. She's not moving. Her eyes just brightened up like a moon. So Krishna and Balaram coming, and they were looking, what is going on? Why she is standing like that? Then they went close by. Then they heard something, and then they started to hear as well. Then both of their hands also went in, legs went in, and the eyes became very wide, nice and wide. So that form is Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. What we see is that form Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, and that is the very most magnificent form of Krishna. And because he was really in the very ecstatic mood hearing about his own pastime, so that means Krishna's pastime even attracts Krishna. So Chaurashtakam is talking about how he stole things, right, in Vraja. So when we say he gets pleased, so there could be other meanings also, so I'm just telling you one meaning that I know. So he'll be pleased. And again, we are trying to do what pleases Krishna, but we should not overburden ourselves trying this and that. It is also recommended that we stick to Hare Krishna Mahamantra only. But it is good if we can little bit stretch, because I think Chaurashtakam, I don't know how big it is. You know how big it is, Deepthi? 4 lines? 6 stanzas?
6-7 minutes. 6-7 minutes it takes. I think 8 verses, Mataji.
And it is recommended to chant Jagannath Ashtakam as well, because Jagannath is Purushottama, so it is recommended that you chant Jagannath Ashtakam and then Narashima Kavasham for protection for our own self, for bhakti, and Chaurashtakam is to please this Chaura, Makkan Chaura. So it's up to us what we wanted to do. I personally wanted to do all of those because it's good anyway, right? Of course Hare Krishna is good. We are doing that anyway. That is actually regular routine, and doing extra round is now we are doing. Let's try and do what we can. It's not that we are wasting our time, because swalpa apiyasya dharmasya, neha abhikrame nasasti. So in this bhakti path, nothing is wasted. Everything is gain only. So even if you think you are wasting time, or why you spend extra 10 minutes on that ashtakams, that means we are the loser. Actually, it's okay to chant. It's only good. It is purifying us. That purifies faster, because this month is like a sale bonanza or something like that. Okay, any other questions?
Thank you, Mataji.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes. Yes, Manju.
Manju. I have one question. Like in Kartika month, we offer extra ghee lamp.
Yes.
In front of Krishna. So, do we have offer in this month as well?
Yes, ghee lamp. Yes, this one also.
Like morning, evening, we do usually do the puja, but you mean to say one extra ghee lamp?
Morning.
Like, we do in Kartik month.
Yeah, morning one ghee lamp, evening one ghee lamp, similar to how we do in Kartik month. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So ghee lamp is very special to Krishna, because he likes yogurt, he likes whatever it is, a dairy product. Like I am gluten free and dairy free, but for him, we have to give all he wants.
No, my question is like whenever I do puja, normally any day,
yeah,
like today or last month, I offer ghee lamp always.
That is very good, very auspicious.
Yeah. But in Kartik month, as you told us before, like last year and before, I always offer 2 ghee lamps in Kartik month, morning, evening. Like
yes.
Whenever I do puja, like in front of baby Krishna and the other ghee. So in this month as well, we have to do the 2 ghee lamps, or just one. I normally do morning, evening. That's more than enough.
Morning one, evening one only. You don't have to do more than morning one, evening one. But if you can't do evening, for example, only can do morning, just do that. Whatever you can, if you can offer ghee lamp at least one time, it's good enough.
Yes. Okay.
If you can do 2, it's good as well. Equally good, yeah. So see your situation and then do it, whatever you're doing. If you can't do it physically, do it mentally, Manasa Puja. But see, don't be lazy and just do Manasa Puja. But just try. If you're really sick, and we have Sangeeta back after her surgery, and we prayed for her also. So For her, her situation is different, so her physical condition is totally different at the moment. Until she fully recovers, she can
Yes.
she can do
Yeah, I
Manasa Puja.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So any
Thank
other
you.
questions? Okay, we move on to chapter 15 Bhagavad Gita Purushottama Yoga, verse number 1. I don't think we will cover more verses, but anyway, we cover whatever we can cover. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhavamulam Adashakam Ashwatam Prahur Avyayam Chandamshi Yashya Parnani Yashtam Veda Sa Vedavit. Can anyone read the translation, please?
Yes, Madam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead says, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and those leaves are the Vedic rhymes. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas.
Yes. So there is, just imagine there is a tree and it is a banyan tree. Okay, there is a real tree and there is a river next to it, and there is a reflection of the banyan tree reflects on the river. So you are seeing the reflection and you are thinking it is real, and you are trying to pick the mango from the reflected tree and then trying to eat it. It's not going to happen. Similarly, the spiritual world is real and it is just the perverted reflection is the material world. The matter always exists, but the material form is perishable. So there is a banyan tree, and in the banyan tree, the reflected banyan tree, of course, how usually the tree will have roots at the end, branches at the top, but in this tree it's opposite. Okay, and roots are but naturally banyan tree is like that only, but the Krishna is using a metaphor. So in the previous chapter he would recommend the devotion so much, and then through from jnana you have to come to the stage of bhakti. If you are getting the Vedic knowledge, Vedasya sarvam ahameva vedyam. Krishna says to study all the Vedas is to know me only. And if you're not able to know me through the Vedas, then what is the point of learning the Vedas? It's no point. So Vedic people, Vedic literates who study Vedas so deeply, they still can't understand the Srimad Bhagavatam. They still can't understand the relationship between a devotee and Krishna. So Srimad Bhagavatam is fully talking about Bhakta, Bhakti and Bhagavan. So it's repeatedly talking how we connect with Krishna. King Parikshit asked the question at the time of death. So he was cursed by a Brahmana boy immaturely, that he'll die in 7 days by bitten by snake bird, Takshaka. So because he was a devotee, he took it very casually. Parikshit Maharaj is the grandson of Pandavas. Pandavas. Arjuna's son Abhimanyu. Then Abhimanyu's Uttara's son is Parikshit. So Parikshit Maharaj, he was asking a question to the sages assembled that I'm about to die. So what should be my immediate duty? And then second question is asking is, what is the exclusive duty for everyone in all the circumstances? So these are the two questions asked by Parikshit Maharaj in Bhagavatam, and Sukadev Goswami will answer throughout the Bhagavatam. He will repeatedly continue to say what is the exclusive duty for everyone and what is the immediate duty. Bhakti only. Serving devotees, pleasing Krishna. No other things. And so many examples, so many stories given to give us a lesson what we can take from that lesson. So from Purushottama month, our lesson is to understand not to blaspheme devotees or Krishna himself, of course, and perform whatever we can within our capacity to please Krishna. And the benediction is whatever it is, okay, we are not working for that, but rather pleasing Krishna. So we understand in a broader perspective. But for people who are not performing devotional service as yet, for them it's like buy one saree, it'll give you 1,000 sarees, means they'll be like, wow, I'll do this. At least for those kind of people with that mentality, this kind of 1,000 time benefits is recommended or introduced, so that more people can perform bhakti. So that's the idea. But for us, it's okay. We are already attracted to Krishna, so it's okay. So in this chapter, banyan tree is a metaphor, as I said, Krishna uses, and the tree has roots and branches at the bottom and roots or at the top. So the leaves of the tree is called Vedic hymns. So if you know the Vedas, okay, but you don't know about the tree itself. The tree itself is called material existence. If you don't know about the tree itself, then it's just a waste. But when you know this entire tree, then you are the real knower of the Vedas. Okay, so Vedas means to know about Krishna, as I said before. And Ashwath in this verse, if you see, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, so Krishna says, Urdhava Moolam, Urdhava means above or top, coming from the top. Moolam means the root. And another word is Ashwatham. So this Ashwatham is banyan tree, and also it is called horse. You know how horse is standing on 3 legs is not so stable. Like that, this material existence is not stable, because for devotees, once they get liberated, the attachment is stopped. For non-devotees also, when they do not have bhakti, they continue to have relationship. Within the tree, they go from one branch to another, taking different species based on their karmic reaction. They become sometimes Devi Devadas, they sometimes become a plant or an animal or a lower species, or they could go to hellish planet at the bottom. So they move up and down depending on their desire and karmic reactions. Because of the desire only you perform some activity. Because of the activity you have some reaction. And sometimes what happens, from the reaction you get, you perform some more activity. Say for example, a person has prarabdha karma, that means that manifested karma, means the reaction is going to manifest soon, or it's happening right now. So one is suffering from something, or one is going on the car and some other car hits this car. So the person who is in the car has this karmic reaction, someone has to come hit it. Okay, that's the end of the story. But if the person has bad attitude, he comes out and stops that car, yells at the person, the driver, and attacks the driver. What happens? The reaction will continue, because he unnecessarily did that. The driver, whoever came and hit, is merely a delivery boy. He just delivered your reaction to you. That's how we should see it. If doctor kills a patient, the doctor is just the deliverer of the reaction. But it doesn't mean the doctor should kill the patients. But I'm just saying an example. That's how we should take it. It's just the karmic reaction. So we have to go through. If we react to the reaction, then we have made a new action. That cycle will continue. That is why devotees tolerate. They tolerate Tiriskrite. There is a verse called, what is that verse? Let me see. Tiraskrita Viparalabda Sabda Shibda Hatapi. So that devotees will tolerate, even if someone cheated him, or insulted, disturbed him, or cursed him, or even killed him. He'll tolerate everything. That is devotee. Okay. So what he does is, he doesn't counteract. Nashya tat pradikurvanti. Nashya tat pradikurvanti. Tat bhakti prabhovapi. So because he's bhakta, he tolerates everything. But sometimes we are practicing to be a devotee. Therefore, we are not able to tolerate the situation. Someone yells at us in front of other people. Our ego gets puffed up. We wanted to take revenge. So pradikurvanti means nashya tat pradikurvanti. They don't avenge themselves. They don't counteract. Whatever it comes, they accept. Tattena compound. So they accept everything as their own karmic reaction. Because of their past misdeed, they accept that and they move on. But for non-devotees, what happens? They stuck to the tree. They come, take birth from one branch to another, no end. So they continue to take birth and die, and they don't want to get liberated because they are too attached to the other material forms. Why? Because of this three modes of material nature, they get confused. They wanted to stick with their partner or wife or husband, and too much attachment. What happens? They take birth sometimes in the same family as a rat or a cat, or sometimes a baby. It depends, human baby. It depends on how attached and what kind of sukriti they have to take another human form or to take a lower species or anything like that. So we go to next verse 2. So in the chapter, let's see the breakdown. First 5 verses will talk about how one to become detached from the material world. So Purushottama Yoga talks about how one becomes detached from the material world, and then it talks about how we can transmigrate ourselves from this material world to the spiritual world. That talks about that also, 6 to 11, and then 12 to 15. What is Krishna's position? So he is the maintainer, he is the supreme controller, he is the enjoyer, all of that. But mainly talking about the maintainer, how he assists in the material existence, assists us in our material existence and our spiritual endeavor, how he does that. And then 16 to 18, 3 sloka Gita of knowledge, a summary of the Vedas and the Vedanta. So that is Trishloka Gita. The essence of Veda, that is described in 3 verses, 16 to 18. And then last couple of verses, 19 and 20, knowing Krishna means everything, knowing everything. So even if we haven't studied Vedas or other Shastras, Puranas, Ishopanishad or Upanishads, Idikashas, doesn't matter. If you know Krishna, you know everything. When you perform Bhakti, Jnana and Vairagya automatically come, correct? So therefore, you don't have to endeavor for them separately. But when you perform Jnana, then Bhakti should come, otherwise the Jnana is just waste only. Okay. So verse number 2, so time is 52 already. Okay, just a couple of more minutes we cover. This will read translation. Anyone can read translation, please?
Yes, Mataji. The branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the 3 modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. This tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society.
So we discussed that already. That branches of this tree extend downward and upward. Sometimes we think the branches only go downward. No, because if someone in the human form performs lowly activities, he is doing all the stuff that is not supposed to be done in the human form, like killing other animals, hurting other living entities, whether violently, like physical abusive or mental abusive, or even in the mind. But in Kali Yuga, if you do anything in mind, it will not accept bhakti. If you want to harm someone, only in mind you are thinking, it won't have reaction. But in Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, just because you meditated on those type of sinful activity, you will have sinful reaction as equal as if you have really performed it. So if a man desires to attain a woman, and he hasn't even touched the girl, but he would have a reaction to it. So that is very, it was very strict in Vedic days. That is actually in other yugas. But in Kali Yuga, because we are already in very bad situation, therefore we don't have such reactions if you do. But if you do Manasa Puja, as I mentioned before, you will have good benefit. If you do good things in the mind, you will have good benefits. But if you think bad things in your mind, it won't have any bad reactions. So which is very good, beneficial in Kali Yuga. 2 things is, that is one thing beneficial in Kali Yuga. Second thing is Kalai dosha Nijay Rajan. So other good thing about Kali Yuga is chanting the holy name of the Lord. Okay, just simply by chanting you will go to spiritual world. But those yugas, you have to do lot of hard work, lot of piety, lot of sacrifice, lot of charity, punya karma. You have to accumulate so much to be able to liberate yourself from the material existence. So yeah, but we are lucky. We are in Kali Yuga in one sense. If we take advantage of it, then we are lucky. So okay, so let me see. So different species, we already discussed, different species manifest according to the proportion of the mode. If you have lower modes, ignorance, then you will have, you will be in the, if you're performing activity in the mode of ignorance, then guess what kind of species you will become in the next life is the animal in the mode of ignorance, like a donkey is in the mode of ignorance. So like, I'm just giving an example. So the tree is usually, when we say the tree, how it gets nourished is by the water. Similarly, how this banyan tree in the material, that is material existence, gets nourished is by the three modes of material nature. So we need to make sure what we do in this material world. So 3 and 4, let me see quickly if the translation, whether we already covered it. I'll just quickly read. The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation. But with determination, one must cut down the strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Thereafter, one must seek the place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. See, we are so much entangled in this material world, we cannot understand Adi and Anta, the starting and ending. Okay, because the real tree itself is not here, it's just the reflection. So we are trying to analyze something that doesn't exist in one sense. It is existing, but it's not real, it's temporary. So because of our entanglement, we are not able to see that. So when we try to do some research work, I wanted to go back to the original source, only simply by following the Acharya's commentary from the Sastric perspective, and Sastras also have the reference how my father and his father, and then we go back to Krishna, to go back to Brahma, first the original living entity, and then he was born out of the navel of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So we can go back that way and understand the original source, only if we have the jnana. But how we can understand the real tree is unless we have this, we cut down this attachment with this material existence through the jnana and vairagya. Because of jnana we are coming up to here, and then with the detachment, when we cut down this tree, then we will understand everything and we go back to Krishna Loka, surrender to him, then we will never come back. So we will understand that he is the original cause and cause of all causes. Ishvara Paramahamsa, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govindam Sarva Karana Karanam. So we will understand then that he is the cause of all causes for time immemorial, not just now but always. So that should be our understanding. And then so jnana should lead to vairagya should lead to bhakti. And other thing Prabhupada has mentioned about asanga. Sanga means attachment. Asanga means need to detach yourself from all this sense enjoyment. And other thing is, it's not easy to detach oneself from sense enjoyment. Rather, one should attach our senses to Krishna. Ambarish Maharaj was using his eyes to see Krishna, mouth to sing about Krishna or eat prasadam, hands to worship Krishna and clean the temple or altar, and or serve the devotees, and legs to go to the temple or walk to devotees' place, like that, and tongue to chant the holy names of the Lord, ears to hear about him. So he was engaging all his senses. That way, Savai Mana Krishna Pada Ravindaye. So there is a verse in Bhagavatam. So that is we take lessons from such exalted devotees and try to utilize our senses and sense objects, like for example using your mobile phone for connecting to the class, which is which is glorious. Similarly, we are trying to use our senses and sense object in the service of Krishna, then automatically we are detached ourselves. So one thing I would strongly recommend is start to engage in serving Krishna in a way that you can offer prasadam. I mean bhoga. Bhoga becomes prasadam after Krishna has eaten. Okay, so please try to do that every day. At least offer patram pushpam phalam thoyam. Krishna says in chapter 9 and 26th verse. You can offer anything, leaf or fruit or flower or water, anything you up to your capacity. But we all eat nice food, and my question would be, why can't we eat? I mean, why can't we offer that? So try do that. Whatever you can. Maybe to start with, just start with little food offering, and then mix that food. Once you offered, chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra at least 3 times, and then give him 5-10 minutes to eat the prasadam, and then after that you just mix that with your own food. Then you will see purification works much faster in our life. Okay, all right, I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Any questions? Any questions from anyone?
Mataji, I just have one quick question.
Yes.
Like regarding the offering of Bhoga.
Yes.
Like how do we convince our family, like relatives and everyone, like they have to, because they're still taking non-veg and everything. So how do we convince them to start offering at least if even if they're not stopping non-veg, like at least they can offer. Can I convince them like that, or is it like after stopping the non-veg only? Because I did that like that, because after I stopped onion, garlic and everything only, I started offering the bhoga. So like how do we encourage them to start offering the bhoga and all?
Okay, so first they need purification, Deepthi. First, how they can be purified is by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. That is the first thing. Your focus at this stage should be encouraging them to chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra at least 108 times per day. And then you inspire them by talking to them about how you tell them story about how the prasadam delivers one. You tell them the examples of Jagannath pastimes, like that. Just slowly you introduce the offering, and again if you wait for them to become vegetarian, that may happen or may not happen in this lifetime. So we need patience and tolerance, and first we encourage them regularly in a very humble and respectable way, that for them to chant, and then slowly encourage them.
Sorry, yes, ma'am.
And
Sorry.
slowly tell them to offer at least a tulasi leaf or water or a fruit or a flower, not more than that. Okay, not more than that. And then slowly you can encourage them. So it will happen. You have a desire, and encourage them with chanting, asking them to chant first, and then slowly telling them you can offer some flowers. That is easy for them. In India, if they are in India, flowers are so easy, they can just pick and just offer. And tulasi also gets everywhere, so they can just offer. Just tell them offer tulasi. And then once offered, they can, what they can do, offering a water and put tulasi leaf in it, and then tell them to drink that water by mixing that water into their water, and tell them, making sure they don't use their glasses, tumbler or anything for Krishna, so it's used separately. But see, if we give too many rules and regulations, they won't be interested. So for us, giving them Hare Krishna is only the first step, and then slowly inspiring them and praying to Krishna also. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.